What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another month of the 3D Leadership Podcast. Pumped to be back with you guys alongside my co-host Danny. It's coming up on 2 years on next month that we've been doing this, right?
Yeah, this is like 2 years so far.
This is wild.
Maybe 2 years and a half, right?
No, because interest meeting was in April.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, so April next month is going to be our 2 years. So welcome if you're here for the first time. We will not be the cliche people of asking you to like and subscribe. We will be the people that just give you the content and assume that if you like it, you will subscribe. But a couple of housekeeping things. We always want to give credit to Mount Christian Gifts for hosting us the last 2 years. It's been awesome to see how God's been working in the store, the way that they've supported the podcast. We want to give a huge shout out to them. If this ever makes it on Facebook or Instagram, we just want to say thank you, Monica, for all the help you've given us. It's been awesome. A couple quick announcements before we get into things today. Just for those of you who are new, the mission of this is very simple. It's a leadership podcast focused on biblical application of biblical principles. So practical application of biblical principles. That sounds a lot better. That's right. So it's focused around us talking through the Word, talking through principles of the Word, and seeing how they best apply to our life. If I look like I am sick or dying, it's because allergies and pollen are killing me. So I'm hoping to not look like I'm bawling my eyes out today. So we'll see. You can totally laugh at it if you like. I am too.
No, you look gorgeous, Dennis. You good, man.
I appreciate it. So a couple other things real quick before we get into things. We want to make sure you know that we do have some other projects in the works in terms of local schools that we're working with from a leadership perspective. We've got Danny and Dozy getting ready to launch their own YouTube sub-channel of our podcast to discuss more theology, just more one-on-one conversations, thoughts about God, thoughts about theology, stuff you might be asking yourself at night you just don't have content about. So we're excited to pump that out to you guys here real soon. And we've also got some discipleship ministry in the works where a good friend of ours, we're going to be connecting in the next week or two about what does Bible study look like? How can we impact not just people here on the recording, but doing some physical get-togethers, physical discipleship, etc. So keep an eye out for announcements about that. But is there anything else that I forgot that I didn't think of?
No, I think that's pretty much it. And if Dozy, if you're watching, we miss you, man. Come on.
Tell little baby and baby that we said, hey, we can't wait to meet the little one.
We can't wait to meet y'all and have him on.
Exactly.
Come on. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So for today, the simple topic that we have is one that I say can be controversial. Maybe you don't. Maybe you disagree, pun intended. But we're literally talking today about developing through disagreement. And I feel like that's something that I could be wrong. You may disagree. But... But I feel like this is something that is essential for us to learn. How to disagree in a healthy manner. How to disagree from a standpoint of...
Let's slow down, Dennis. Is it okay to even disagree as a Christian?
I would think so, yeah.
Is it healthy?
I would say so, yeah. It provides healthy conversation.
Okay. So it's okay and it's healthy. Please tell us how.
So... from reading in the Word, from just thinking about this from a psychological perspective, disagreement simply is you have one stance, I have another. You have an opinion about something that I don't share the same opinion on. The problem that we face in many cases is the fact that when we hear someone isn't in alignment with our thoughts, we begin to argue about why they don't believe the same thing we do. It basically turns into arguments. And you can continue to correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I've heard and experienced, a lot of that comes from a lack of maturity around emotional development. Now that may already step on some toes there and cause us to lose half our viewers, not gonna lie. But I feel like there's a lot of emotional immaturity when it comes to why disagreements take place, why arguments take place, and just learning how to navigate emotions in a mature manner, not letting them run how you talk. Does that make sense?
Yes. I agree. Most of it, I say 80% of the time, it is emotions. Most of the time, we don't know how to actually discern or control our emotions, and that leads into us acting in anger, pride, or any type of way. Some of us, our only way to not get into arguments is to flee the scene. And that causes more ruckus and more bitterness between the relationship of who you're having this disagreement with.
Yeah.
Right? I do, and it's crazy because I think Christians do it the worst sometimes. When you're in a church,
Talk about.
yeah, when you're in a church, most of the time everybody wants to agree with everything. Like, and most of it is masking who you are. Like you're constantly trying to get at a level of pureness, and you know you're not there. You know your heart is not there, but you're trying to portray that you are. So whenever the disagreement happens, it's like, how could I act out of anger when I really want to? What are the people going to think of me while I'm here? And I think it's beautiful when there's an open space and an environment when it allows you to see your scars. Whenever people see your scars, there's growth, there's authenticity. And not only that, when disagreements come, we know there's a purpose for this. There's a sharpening. Like it tells us iron sharpens iron. We're meant to do that within each other, but it's not pretty. Not only is it not pretty, but it hurts. When iron rubs against iron, how do you say it? Iron. Okay.
We got this.
Right? When metal goes against metal, it's good. Let's just go that way. If metal rubs against metal, it's not going to be soft, it's not going to be cushiony, and it's not going to be seamlessly. It's meant to cut off all the ugliness in our heart. It's meant to bring up all the ugliness in our heart.
Hey Jason, if you're in the back there, could you turn the in-house mic down just slightly? It's echoing a lot in the space. Appreciate it.
But yes, and whenever it brings up a lot of ugliness in our heart, it really shows up who we truly, truly, truly are. And that is also not pretty. So
No, I agree. I think a lot of there's typically two outcomes that we subconsciously pick when we're arguing. One is we choose to agree with the individual, which doesn't align with who we are. So we're not being ourselves, not being authentically us, just to agree. But the other is we are ourselves and figure out that maybe we didn't feel rejected because that person didn't align with our mentality. It didn't align with our perspectives. And it's a lot of the cases why, how many times have you spoken to somebody or you've heard of in movie scenes or with friends where the person's so angry they just hang up the phone. They're so frustrated they just hang up. Okay, well that's just a regular reaction to you being upset about something. The person that you just spoke to didn't align with the perspective you had of what they should do. You got frustrated, so instead of trying to navigate the conversation, you cut the conversation off on yourself. And now the next step is to decide, is that who I'm going to choose to be, or am I going to choose to reconcile this and find a way to mature through the growth? Because the problem is we live in a time of life where being comfortable is almost idolized.
yeah,
And I mean, and that's an extreme measure to say it. It's the best way I can think of right now. But people admire, I'll put it this way. People strive for comfort, but admire those who strive for discomfort. Which is kind of weird, right?
yeah.
Like we pursue the most comfortable life, but yet we have such admiration for those who choose a discomfortable life, like an uncomfortable life.
Well, because they look at the result, right? They see that the result looks comfortable, and it looks more comfortable than what they're in. And I even go as far to say that people start making decisions saying that the path of comfortableness is a God life path, is the one that God is leading you in. Oh, because there's strife and discord in the path that you're going through, right? This must not be from God.
Yeah.
You know, and they make their decisions that way because they for somehow believe that it's going to be no discord in their life.
And to an extent, God obviously does want us to prosper. He wants us to live a holistically flourishing life. I mean, it's all over the word. But I think there's a disconnect between that being an outcome, but the process being difficult, right? Because, like, for example, we love how the podcast is looking now. What we have now is not what we had 18 months ago, not even 6 months ago, for crying out loud. Like, we didn't have what we have now 6 months ago. Some months were very difficult to show up. Excuse me. Some months were we were just pulling ourselves into the space just to show up and still share. But the cool part is hearing the testimony of those listening online. the testimony of those in person, the conversations that we get to, where we get to meet before that even goes live. It's not that it's one or the other, it's both. You're going to have discomfort and seek comfort, because the Lord says that He is the Prince of Peace. He says He is our peace. He is our comforter. So there is comfort in God. But He also said that, no, now that you will face trials and tribulations in this world, I have overcome them. I think that's somewhere in 1 Peter. Maybe, and I'm sure there's other places in Scripture too, but I think it's the mental recognition of God Himself wants to give you the blessings the Word talks about. The problem we face is when we try to find those outside of Him. And then we say, well, the world didn't give it to me. I didn't get comfortable. This is getting harder. Well, great. So this is correctly in alignment with what even success principles from a general perspective talk about. Because name me a CEO where you've heard them say this is the easiest thing I've ever done. You kidding me?
Yeah.
I mean, the story with Starbucks, like them taking about 8 years or so, if I'm correct, please fact check me on this, but figuratively speaking, it took them about 8 or 9 years to launch their first 8 or 9 locations.
Yeah.
It took them the exact same amount of time
to
launch their 9th or 10th location. So like the road is never easy. Because I saw a video on this just this morning where no matter what way of life you pick, there's a hard. It's going to be hard. Being successful is hard because it takes a lot of work to get there. But living in poverty is hard too, because it's a hard life. You don't have food on the table. You don't have money to pay bills. You may not be able to pay for your kids to go to school. You may not even have money to put food on the table for a week. You don't know. That hard life is hard too. But the life of pursuing purpose, pursuing a business, pursuing the calling God has for you, that's a hard life too. There's literally no easy part in life. And there's one of the best audios I have ever heard from a mentor of mine years ago was choose your hard. Every way you're going to go is going to be hard. So just pick a way and go. But don't complain about it because you picked the way.
Yeah.
Am I missing something here?
No, you got to pick. I was talking to Jason. Jason's an amazing person. If you ever get the time to talk to Jason, like he will bring some stuff out of you, and he's a natural leader. But what's been really heavy on my heart lately is that some people just lack a vision. You know, they lack a vision. And most of the time that when people lack a vision, you're tossed to and fro. You don't know which way to go, so you're choosing comfortable. You're choosing what you're used to. You're finding more discord in your life because there is no vision. And
That's
whenever
true.
there's no clarity, there's nothing to go to in a sense of clarity, then you get into chaos in your mind.
Yeah.
It's not clear, it's muddy. So you're trying to figure out where to go. God, give me an answer. You're probably crying out to the Lord constantly, right? But God has given you a vision. Every single one of us, He's given us a vision. And it tells us to write it down, to make it plain, right? Make it plain for those who see it will run with. So, like even with us, I've started my journey this way. And I told you, it's not easy. It's not easy. Also, it's not easy being confused, but it's also not easy when you have to say no to a lot of things and a lot of friends.
Yeah.
When you have to let go of a lot of people.
Yeah.
And tell us, since Dennis, you're a businessman and you're married, how do you handle these conversations, hard conversations with people, with partnerships, and in marriage? Because I know there's a lot of people that have been struggling with that.
Well, if my wife's watching this right now, she knows I am still a big work in progress. My tendency is to take on the world, to be okay with it, just to worry about it myself, but then I come across sassy, frustrated, passive-aggressive, and all the emotions to her and to the kids. Then she says, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just overwhelmed. I got a lot going on. Too many things to think about all the time." And then I have a difficult time sharing, "Hey, I need a second. Hey, right now, my moment in life is disorganized. I need a second to organize my thoughts and begin to take action where I can." And so a method we've started using is if we've gotten to a point where we are starting to argue and go back and forth with each other, it's, hey, I need a second. I'm going to pause myself in this conversation and remove myself. Excuse me. Not because anything that we said is wrong, just we don't want to let the emotion run the conversation. We want to more so recognize some things that are being said are affecting us emotionally. Let's take a pause and then take care of a few things and then come back to it. But set a time when we come back to it. So if it's, hey, I need some time, let's circle back in 30 minutes. Let's circle back in 15 minutes. Let's give us some time just to chill. But when we have those 30 minutes, we don't address each other. So we're giving ourselves, at least I should say, she does a great job at not addressing me. I still tend to have 20 thoughts and ask questions and don't always give it the silence that we need. But in most cases we say, okay, pause. We're literally going to, just like a movie, pause the conversation and get back to what we're doing. Just get stuff done. Just be productive. Half an hour later, okay, let's revisit. We've had a chance to think about some things. What was it you were trying to communicate? And then we revisit the conversation. I mean, just in our life right now, 2 kids, both full-time jobs, running 2 businesses, running a podcast, other contracts for the podcast coming in that we have to analyze. Mind is running 24/7. And the thing I've noticed, we've never gotten me diagnosed per se, but just on my behavior, we definitely feel as though I have ADHD. My mind goes all over the place all the time. I think way faster than I speak. Half the time I start speaking cursive because I can't get my thoughts out fast enough. But the thing that I'm learning is I've noticed that when I don't take enough action on thoughts I'm having, I begin to get overwhelmed and stuck mentally because I don't know where to start. And that's when things start to get a little chaotic because I'm frozen in time almost paralyzed by my own thoughts, not sure where to begin. Versus I have a thought, okay, let me take care of that. Okay, I've got that next. Okay, let me take care of this now. And just start doing, and keep doing. Not because I'm just trying to keep myself busy, but because I'm keeping myself focused. If I know there's laundry has to get done and dishes have to get done, whichever one I'm closest to, I'm gonna start doing it. Okay, let's take care of the laundry. Okay, now that the laundry's done, let me go downstairs and take care of the dishes. Oh, I have to respond to 5 emails. Let me get these dishes done, then I'm gonna respond to those emails. And I just keep it one thing at a time. And if the kids need attention, sure, of course, we're gonna give them attention. I'm not saying that you exclude the rest of the world in those moments, but it's finding a way to focus on what's the task at hand, and let me make sure that what I'm doing is being done from a logical perspective, not being run by my emotional feeling.
Wow, that's a lot. And how long have you been married?
So May is going to be 5 years. Yes, 2020, so 5 years.
5 years running 2 businesses.
I knew if she was watching that, I missed that mark, I'd probably be in a little bit of trouble tonight.
He will get another Discord out.
Yeah, I might be in a little disagreement there.
Hey, we're sharpening, right?
Exactly.
We're growing every single
Exactly.
day. But with you, 5 years in marriage, right? 2 kids, 2 businesses, a podcast. How do you handle it all together? How do you keep it, one, like people call their inner peace? And when the arguments come, I can see like it'll be easily to spark and have a short fuse. It'll be easily just to like yell, let it all out. There's so much in your mind already.
So obviously, from a Christian perspective, I have my time with God when I can get, so whether it's in the car, in the closet, wherever I am, I just that quiet time talking to God, get my thoughts out, etc. But a lot of it too comes from a logical standpoint. It comes from accepting the season. I've learned to accept this is the season that we're in. If I had a choice to plan this out, I wouldn't have put everything here at once. To me, that sounds completely ridiculous. To me, it sounds you're literally setting yourself up for failure because you can't handle everything on your own. But what the Lord's been teaching my wife and I too is the only way for us to lean on Him is to be in a position where we're forced to. Only way that Moses was going to lead the Israelites out of Egypt was when God put him in a position where his weakness was the weapon. My weakness was time management. I'm forced to have time management now because of all that we have going on. But in the end, it comes down to we do our best not to, I should say, complain about the season. We can complain about moments. I mean, Jesus did the same thing. But we're learning how to not complain about the season because we accepted the calling. So if I accepted the calling, I have no right to decide what season I'm in or when I'm in it. Because I've accepted the call. I've accepted this journey. Which means that if this is the time that God has designed for these things to happen, cool. I know for a fact I'm going to have to go through some growth because the only way to grow is to go past your capacity. The only way to really know what you're capable of is to go past what you've done. Like it's the same thing with the gym. If you do the same reps over and over and over again, you're not going to get any stronger. You may get more lean and more specialized in those areas, just like jobs do, just like degrees do. You spend more time on that subject, you get specialized. But you don't get stronger in the gym unless you start adding more weight to test and see what you can handle. It's the whole workout routine of going to failure. Literally, you go until your body has nothing left.
Yeah.
And that's when you start in life, when you feel that way, it's like, I feel like I have nothing left in my tank. Perfect. That's exactly what your true capacity is. Not what you thought it was. That's what it truly is, because now you'll learn to adjust your life to fit that capacity.
And I think like in those moments when you reach that, you start realizing that you can go a lot more further. You know, you can get tested a little bit more and you will survive.
I mean, same thing with like Amazon, for example. It started as an online bookstore, and now it's turned into one of the most widely spread brands in history. But also their main business isn't even the Amazon website, it's the servers. They sell their servers to different businesses. A branch off became their whole foundation. And the whole idea behind that is, Jeff wasn't thinking about that 20 years ago saying this is what Amazon's going to become. But over time he said, I'm either going to accept the growth taking place and learn to grow with it, or, excuse me, I'm going to stagnate myself, say this is what I can do, then you stagnate the whole operation.
Yeah.
If we say that this podcast was one that God brought to us to grow and design, it means I have no right when this thing stops. It means if He wants it to keep growing, I have to keep growing. Because if I choose to stop, I am only making my life harder because I'm choosing to make life harder on myself versus grow with it. It's literally the learning of, if I've accepted the calling, I've accepted the growth that comes with it. And that's a very difficult but very comforting realization to have, because you understand my life is going to get hard. My life is going to have difficult moments. So I might as well expect it because it's coming. Now notice I didn't say negative moments. I didn't say bad moments. I said difficult moments. I'm pretty confident that Jesus had his own difficult moments in the Garden of Gethsemane. Pretty confident that the lame man had plenty of difficult moments before God healed him. I'm sure he had plenty more once he couldn't prove who healed him, but he was walking on his own. And he was being ridiculed for walking on his own, which makes no sense. You're ridiculed for being healed? What? That makes no sense. So life is going to bring difficult moments. The problem that we face today is that we live in a culture where difficult moments are avoided. We're actually encouraged to avoid difficult moments, which is why we have adults acting like kids.
Yeah.
Sorry. Which is why we have teenagers acting like toddlers. Sorry. It's because we're literally encouraging people to get comfortable, do what's easy, do what's best for you. What's best for you is the hard. What's best for you and your future family is that you step up. I was not prepared for marriage. My wife, if she was here, would say the exact same thing. She was way more prepared than I was. But I've chosen to grow into it, still mess up every day, but my mind is, how can I be better? And if we if we made that paradigm shift, and again, people may disagree with this, and that's okay. That's the whole purpose of this talk, is that you recognize, okay, I simply disagree, but I can respect your thoughts. I can respect that perspective. And you may even disagree with something I say too. Like, that's okay.
No,
Like,
there's something that you said that really stuck out. With relationships and everything, you said that you decided to grow with it. Right? You decided to grow with it. A lot of people don't understand that. right?
So,
Most
yeah.
of the time, like, so if I'm asking you, like, from the beginning of your marriage till now, do you feel like you've become a different person and a better person?
100%.
Right, so it wasn't about getting the right person.
It was about becoming the right person.
Say that again.
It's marriage, relationships, nothing about that. It's never about finding Mr. or Mrs. Right. You are Mr. and Mrs. Right when you find the person. Think of it this way. And that may not have aligned as well as it could have. But simply put, I heard a pastor one time say this. Actually, if you ever see this, Pastor John Gray from now it's called Love Story Church, one of the best lines I've ever heard from him. You aren't a wife when I look for you, you're a wife when I find you. Are you operating in the spirit of wife, or are you operating in the spirit of girlfriend? Wives aren't, of course, women are developed over the years in a marriage, but you're either prepared for a marriage and thinking like a wife would and acting like a wife in the marriage. Doesn't mean that you enjoy the benefits of the marriage. It simply means that you know how the person's preparing themselves to commit to you, or you're operating in the spirit of girlfriend, where it's let's have some fun, let's just goof around. I don't see this going long term though. And the question that from a relationship standpoint comes up is, it's not about you finding who you think is right for you. It's about who are you becoming to be the right person for them.
Come on. And that sets in a whole mode of like serving, right? Imagine if God said that, like if he was like, I'm just looking for the right godly person to use.
Yeah. Like this whole idea of checklist, right? Like people, so many people are encouraged to make their checklist of their ideal boyfriend. I will never preach a message in church to any youth about making a list of what you want to see out of a guy. The reason being is because the guy who's already a godly man, you'll recognize it. Now, maybe say this instead like this. There's nothing wrong with you creating standards for a person to fulfill. There is something wrong with you making a list of boxes that they check off. Because now it becomes this idea of, I'm going to match this person to my paper. If they miss 2 check marks, let's see if they're more qualified than this girl I met yesterday who missed 3 check marks. Who do I like more now? Well, both could be good quality. The question is, you're more focused on the quality rather than the standard. If the person's standard aligns with yours, great. The little check marks of brunette, at least 6 foot tall, athletic, or loves Mexican food, or loves Italian food, like whatever it may be. There's things that are standards and there's things that are just conveniences. Most people make a list of conveniences, not of standards. And that's why they find issues in relationships. And the amount of conversations that people disagree with me on that, cool. Last time I checked, you weren't the one with the ring on your finger. I am. You aren't. So maybe it's not me saying that I did everything right. It's me saying I'm speaking from a credible experience. You're speaking from a hope. You're speaking from an ideology that too many youth have been taught. Too many of them. The idea is not create a list of things you want to see in the person. The idea is create a set of values you want to see a person bestow. It's the same concept, but it's a deeper approach.
Or even become.
Become, exactly.
Right.
Are you open to becoming this? If you're not talking about who you're trying to become, then let me put it this way in a more kind manner. If you're not speaking about your future, then all you have is your past.
Yeah.
If you're not speaking about where you're trying to go as a couple, there is no future.
So you're saying there's a vision involved.
There's a vision involved of, if you both are aligned where you're going, okay, that's something you can choose to grow into together. If you're not talking about a future vision, then there is no future vision because there is no future. Because you both realize we don't know what we're doing here, except we're wasting each other's time and trying to fill a void that clearly wasn't filled by either one of us. Like, we're looking for that future person, but neither of us is thinking about that or willing to think about it. So there's literally no future. It's literally like saying, that, like think about it this way, a book. If chapter 3 hasn't been written, there is no chapter 3. There's only 2 chapters. If a chapter hasn't been written or discussed, there is no chapter. So if there's no future being discussed, or that you've discussed it and there is no future, either way, there's nothing to step into because it hasn't been created yet. The idea hasn't even been created yet. Okay. Give me the words, Holy Spirit. This is going a different direction than I planned. Men in the relationship are required to carry the vision. Most relationships don't last because women are looking for men with vision, but most men currently don't have a vision. Mm-hmm. It's less about when the foundation is knowing, 1, what your values are, and 2, where you're going. Like from a biblical perspective, for example, it was first Adam, and he was given a vision. Take care of the land. Like, make it flourish, help it flourish. He was given a job. He was already operating in a direction that he was going, that he was assigned. Then God realized, oh, he needs a helper for all this. I need to create for him a helper. So what did he do? When Adam went, the word says, he put Adam to sleep and created Eve, and then brought Eve to Adam. So it's not that women aren't meant to fulfill a specific role. It's that there's nothing for them to help if the man isn't already performing, if he's not already in the vision, if he's not already pursuing the vision. Because God only recognized that a helper was needed when he put Adam in the field to do the work and realized, okay, a helper is required. Let me make him a woman. Let me give him, not make him, let me give him a woman to help him with this journey. Most relationships find that tornado effect of I don't know what's happening because the man doesn't have a vision. He has a goal. Mm-hmm. Maybe he has an idea of what he wants to do in the future. Like, one of the best dating questions. Like, what are you doing right now? Change the question to where are you going? Mm. What are you hoping to accomplish in the next 5-10 years? If a guy can't answer that, doesn't mean they're a bad person, but it means
there's room for growth.
There's room for growth. If they're open to answering it and they really want to talk through it, there's a lot of room for growth. If their answer is, yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just trying to get through right now. Like, life is busy. Like, I don't know, just kind of chilling right now. See what life brings at me. Okay, you have no vision, and you shouldn't be in a relationship. You don't even know where you're going. How in the world can you help somebody else, help them on their journey? Like, if you can't read a map, you shouldn't be trying to help somebody on
direct,
the map.
yeah.
And again, there's plenty of disagreeing concepts there, but in the end, the whole purpose of today is to say we can find a way to healthily disagree. If I'm on a route to a vision and you're not, cool. Let's talk out why, if there's a way to come around to it. Because this is something that I felt the Holy Spirit dropped to me a couple nights ago. If you're in an argument and you're looking to be right, that's pride. You're trying to make them choose your perspective. It's about you being right. If you're trying to understand the person, be unified, find a united outcome, it's humility. Which one does the Bible support? Which one does the Bible oppose? Yeah.
Well, he turns his face from the proud.
Yeah, exactly. So in that situation, it's not that, sorry. It's not that arguments or disagreements are wrong, but the word does say to be slow to argue. Disagreeing is biblical. Arguing is unbiblical. Because arguing is about you making your point. Disagreement is how do we come to a conclusion? We're at a fork in the road here. God exalts the humble. God pursues the humble. Last time I checked, God knew everything. I don't. So most of my time in my prayer walk, if I'm arguing with him, it's because I'm recognizing, I'm probably wrong about something. Mm-hmm. That's why this hurts, God. You're teaching me something I just don't like. Mm-hmm. But I have no right to question you because it's your journey for me. So I'm going to just, and sometimes in my prayers I'll say, God, I'm going to shut up and just try your way, and then just say thanks in the back end. I'm going to apologize after I say this, but God, this frustrated me. Why is this happening? I don't like this at all. You definitely don't have my best in mind, yada, yada, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then after I got all my frustrations out, okay, God, I know you know best. I have faith you know best. I know life is not always going to be easy. Sorry. Just help me trust you more here. I need your help to walk through this.
Wow.
Go from, I think I'm right, why are you doing this, to, I know I'm wrong.
So, Dennis, give us from, and I'm not saying I'm perfect or Dennis, we're completely, we're not perfect and we've been through this. So this is why I'm asking this question. So like, what are some symptoms to just, not necessarily self-diagnose, but to see from someone filled with pride in a disagreement with someone else? What are some symptoms that they kind of show towards that conversation?
Just look at how they react with whatever you say. If there's a big emotional reaction, if there's passive aggressive comments, like you can tell if you're having a calm conversation with somebody compared to they just turned into someone different. You just said something that struck some chord from years ago, and they are not letting go of that chord. Mm-hmm. It's very simply paying attention to how the person reacts. Because if there's a lot of emotion in the reaction, it's very clear something inside of them just hurt. Most likely, it's their pride. Now, it doesn't mean that you're a proud person when they say that, but you said something that affected their feelings, how they see themselves, how they felt about the situation. I'm not saying that they're sitting there like, I'm the best person here, because we think of proud, we think like, we think macho, we think big.
Like, arrogant.
Yeah.
Or...
Pride also has to do with yourself. It's just yourself. Mm-hmm. And if someone's reacting, has a big reaction, something you said, it's not our job to keep pressing it. It's our job to seek to understand why they reacted that way.
Yeah.
Big reaction. Oh, sorry. It looks like I just struck a chord with you. Can you help me understand why what I just said affected you so much? That's not you saying, well, I'm right, you're wrong, or well, tough luck. Well, that's how it is. Well, that's how life is. No, there's no empathy there. It's okay. They had a big reaction, so I struck something in them. Can you help me understand where you're coming from? We disagree about this clearly. Explain to me where you're coming from and why.
Mm-hmm. And I love the fact that the feeling of someone that's being humble and someone that's being prideful is the same feeling when you're getting hurt. Mm-hmm. It's the exact same feeling. So from the difference of now you're humble to where you're just being proud is the action that comes after that, right? Even so, like if I'm the person receiving and I'm getting hurt, right? If I want to act in humbleness, how should I act? What's a way to address that conversation?
There's a great book out there for anyone who has a notepad or something to write down. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's a book. It's a book that our business group that Danny and I are a part of has everyone read on a yearly basis, and it's a focus on you win people over by focusing on them. So it's not about asking the right question. It's about, are you showing them you're trying to understand them? You can say, help me understand, or help me understand. Genuine curiosity. It's not a specific phrase you say. It's simply someone seeing, okay, I want you to feel prioritized so I can get to know you and why you disagree. Let me hear your story. Because any opinion somebody has goes back to a life experience that they had. Something caused an opinion that caused them to think a certain way. Which means if they disagree with something that I'm saying, or if you disagree with something I'm saying, it has to do with you learned something at one point that's contrary to what I learned. So help me understand the backstory of what taught you that lesson to think that way. What taught you to think arguing is normal? What taught you to think that getting louder gets your way? What taught you that throwing a tantrum is how you get someone to concede? Whatever the scenario may be. I think of those because I have 2 kids. But like, from a standpoint of recognizing how to humble yourself, it's trying to learn that person's perspective in the conversation. You are clearly in a place where you're okay with them disagreeing with you, but maybe they aren't okay with you being disagreeing with them. Let's learn people's lives better and learn to talk about why we think what we think. Let's just not just be taught what to think, but why do you think that? Why do you carry that perspective? I, for the longest time, thought that the corporal road was my future. I loved it. I liked the idea. I thought at first it was professional athletics, then the corporate sector sounded cool, and over time I learned different perspectives and realized, entrepreneurship is really the direction I want to go. It literally took a mentor asking me one time, what do you think makes you comfortable with money? I said, give me $250,000, and I think that's where I can put money into investment accounts. My family has what they need, travel, etc. And his response back to me was, I can understand that. I think you're being extremely selfish. So I can do 100K, I can do 70K too. And he said, no, that's the opposite of what I'm talking about. I said, what do you mean? He said, I disagree with your mentality. I think, why not try to make as much money as possible? You keep what you need, give the rest away. If you only need 250, but God blesses you with 2 million, live off what you need. Be a blessing the rest of the way. I disagree with the poverty perspective that you come from, where it's just give me what I need to survive. I disagree with that statement. But he didn't. But when I reacted, like, what in the world? Why? Huh? His reaction was calm, saying, help me understand why you think that. And he asked me questions about who I was and why I thought that. And explained, listen, the reason I disagree is because I come from this perspective where if I make $500K a year, but I only need 100, awesome. Let me live off what I need. Maybe I treat myself to something, but I'll give the rest away. If I don't need it, I don't have to have it. But why prevent myself from making it if somebody else doesn't have the same opportunity? Some other people may not get the same opportunities I do. So my perspective is, I make as much as possible every single year. I live off what I need, and I give the rest away. Because my focus isn't on if I'm right. My focus is on how can I help? How can I help lift you up? How can I just change your perspective? And he even told me, if you disagree with me, that's okay. That's how I choose to live. You can live a different way. And he kept me from arguing because he was focused on learning my perspective versus telling me why I was wrong.
Wow. Man, there's so much to really unpack there. I want to emphasize this because also one of my mentors mentioned this to me, and it goes along with what you're saying. Truth has depth. Like, truth has depth. Whenever there's a lie or there's a lot of pride, it doesn't go deep. It doesn't like to. It freaks out. So that means, how do you go deep is you ask the questions to really get to know the root, the cause. Why do you believe what you believe? Why do you act the way that you act? It had to stem from something. And someone who is actually willing to go deep with you at the end is a lot of growth. You unpack a lot of things within yourself to grow, right? And it brings it to humbleness. And in reality, in the outer scope, right? He took the time to share his testimony after asking you questions.
Yeah.
You know, why I believe. I'm not just telling you nonsense.
Yeah.
Like, I'm telling you something because I'm living it out. I used to be you.
Yeah.
You know? And if we're tying this biblically, like, how do we overcome?
I think that our biggest key to this is the term is specific, but the application is broad. Discipleship. Now, that's not me saying you sit around a fire, sing Kumbaya, and talk about like how to grow spiritually. It's being willing to sit through life with people. We've got a friend of ours right now who's dealing with some crazy legal stuff taking place, where some nights they come over and just talk to us. It's heavy information, but they need the community. They just need the friendship. They need the time there. If they ask for our perspective, we give it to them. But like we've got lots of friends right now who are dealing with life situations. And right now we're in a season where God has given us the opportunity to invest in some of those people and just pour into them. But that's all just goes back to fellowship, discipleship. Like, hey, I'm here to help you. It's not, if you disagree with me, I push you away. Like literally every avenue in society is teaching. Makes no sense to me. Like corporate is all about developing a team and coming together. Yet everything else, yet their same message to the world is live your own life, live your truth. That doesn't fly. Literally, it's before our very eyes, it's not working. What does work is looking past disagreements. Is if we choose to step away from friendships that we disagree with, I'm not saying you keep toxic people around. I'm saying you're willing to fight for somebody. Now, if they don't want to fight with you, different conversation. But I believe that the best way to navigate disagreements is just by focusing on the person. Like, let's just spend time together. Just basic discipleship. We think of this as such a specific development term.
Yeah.
Discipleship is just, hey, apprenticeship, mentorship. Let me come alongside you and guide you through what I've learned, so you can teach somebody else, and you can teach somebody else, and they can teach somebody else. It's very simply just paying it forward. It's just the biblical term, but it's just paying it forward, being willing to help others learn and grow, and being there holding, figuratively speaking, holding their hand as they experience life. We just don't do that anymore in many cases.
Honestly, but we can.
We can.
Which there is an opportunity for growth in all of us. It is an opportunity for us to lay our pride aside, right, and grow together.
Yeah.
Right. That's how we're truly going to bring unity. And I know the church says how to bring unity is by love. It literally is this. It says love is patient and go against your anger. You know, love is kind. It goes against your anger, your emotions. Love is not boastful. But why are we continuing to boast in the church? You know, everything that love is, it goes against you and is dying of the flesh, right? So it's putting something down to grow and to becoming more like Christ. And essentially, that's how we overcome, right? Yeah. We overcome through love.
And let's even take a different perspective on the disagreement side. The Bible is designed to make us more like Christ. Success principles are designed to challenge us to become the person that can sustain the success long term. Which means if our nature is not to be that person, we're going to disagree with a lot of principles. But it's our choice to adapt or to let go of. Some people love waking up at 3 a.m. Others can wake up at 8. In the end, what matters is typically the people that disagree with the principles are also the ones who aren't doing it.
Yeah.
Or aren't willing to do it. I disagree. I don't think that's all needed. Okay. Well, for that person, it was needed. You might not need it, but there's also no fruit on the tree of your life that says that you don't. And so many of us aren't willing to be called out for stuff, called out for habits, called out for correction, etc., that we don't want to be told something we disagree with, but then that prevents us from becoming better. But then we complain about not being better, yet we're the ones asking for no correction. So it's almost this dynamic of you're not wanting to be corrected, yet you're complaining about not being correct. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like I genuinely don't get it. We don't like disagreements, But it's the only way to grow because you learn different perspectives and learn different worldviews, learn different mentalities. But we like agreeing. We like results, but don't want the growth. And the only way to grow is to learn something new. Something new typically relates to the fact that you probably didn't agree with it in the first place, or you're challenged by it. What's up, Tyler? Sorry, guys. Totally just a phenomenal wrestler. Congrats on the tournaments, by the way. Great job, buddy.
All right. And one more question. How do we deal with someone who doesn't want to be corrected? Like, there's like we as leaders,
this question.
As leaders, we're gonna come across people like this, and sometimes it might even be us. So how do we deal with someone who doesn't want to be corrected?
What do you think?
Well, first, my testimony towards this is because I was that person. I didn't want to be corrected. How does someone deal with me? I could give you the perspective of that. They just didn't deal with me. Mm-hmm. They let me, so a person with pride, usually that doesn't have depth and wants to always be right, they will want to talk. They want to prove their side, right? They have a point and a purpose, but it leads to nowhere. So what did the person do to me? He let me. He let me continue to ramble on, and at the very end of the conversation, I noticed I was going nowhere. So it was a self-reflection on me. Right? He didn't try to prove his side because I wanted him to. Oh, did I want him to? I wanted him to prove his side. But that was only going to ignite the fire. So he let me put myself out. He let me try to bring a fire, spark a fire, but then put myself out. So, yeah, if you ever come across people that way, just let them because they want to. There's something deeper rooted in them that they want to argue. And it always comes down to either a past trauma or something someone they dealt with that they wanted to prove and never got the opportunity to prove their side. Mm-hmm. So they're choosing an avenue and a channel to be able to release that. And I was that guy, I'm telling you. And God is working on me, myself. Yeah. So
I think to kind of expand a bit on what you're saying, you have to let them run their course, but it's also at that it's you cannot help someone who doesn't want to be helped. It's like this. This is a quote that I heard one time. Change occurs when the pain of your circumstance outweighs the pain it takes to change it. Meaning, until someone's life situation is so frustrating to them that they're willing to change, they won't, because the pain of the change is worse than the pain they're currently experiencing.
Yes.
So meaning, how do you help someone who doesn't want to be helped right now or corrected? You don't. You literally can't. You actually make the relationship worse by trying to help them when they're rejecting it, because now it's no longer coming across as critiquing, it's coming across as criticism. Now it's coming across as you are criticizing who they are, which now puts an actual divide in that relationship versus letting them run their course. It doesn't mean you love them any less. It means that they are not in a place mentally where they are prepared to make a change. And life has to take its reign on them until they're prepared to see a different change. That's it. It literally just comes down to, if someone's not ready for change, it ain't gonna happen. As much as me being a dad, once my kids want to play sports, if they get hurt, if they go to class, whatever it is, I'm gonna want them to do things better. I'm gonna want them to improve. But if they're not ready for it, I'm hurting that relationship by pushing because of the fact that they aren't wanting to listen. Now they think I'm critiquing, I'm criticizing, I'm insulting, versus, okay, go for it. That's what God does to us. When He gives us an opening for it, we say no, He literally lets us take the detour we created for ourselves just to come back to the beginning and say, yeah, that didn't work. So, okay, are you ready to try my way now? Yes, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I'm emotionally drained, I'm ready, God. And then we do it His way. We praise him because it worked. It's literally just, if they're not ready to be helped, they aren't ready. But eventually, they will be in a place where they will be ready. But you have to let that time happen.
And I would say, even so, it's kind of hard sometimes whenever someone that you come across is this person, right? He doesn't want to be corrected, and you're constantly having to, put your emotions aside. And it can be very exhausting to the point where they actually find the right time to humble themselves, and they come to you, right? It's hard to not say, I told you so, right?
Oh, yeah.
As the leader.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so tempting to be like, I've been telling you this whole entire time, right? Or like, I was trying to tell you where your point of view was wrong.
I told you this was going to happen.
But is it right to?
I was trying to avoid this whole situation.
Yes, exactly. So as the leader, how should we react when somebody's coming, when they finally are ready to change and develop?
I take the approach that, the story of the prodigal son, where
Yes.
it's like, from the word, I forgot where in the word it is, but it's like, the son runs away, he does his own thing, ends up life just hits him left and right, ends up running back, and his dad doesn't correct him saying, you should have been better, like, I told you this wouldn't work, etc. He literally brought a coat out, like brought a specific robe out to him, like a welcoming robe, brought him in, they had a massive party, like a feast, like he just won the lottery or something. Like, he just celebrated the fact that his son was home. And I think that's the same approach that is the one that we should be taking in general, where it's celebrating when they've accomplished that perspective. It's celebrating when they've made that realization. It's not, I've been telling you for 2 years. I told you this 10 years ago. I told you. Yes, you did. Clearly that method worked last time. Maybe even you were part of the reason they didn't want to change because of how you were communicating it. But a lot of the reason now is, okay, why do you want to remind them of how dumb they were or how ignorant they were? Why not celebrate where we are now? They are ready now. They are ready to learn. Why would you not want to capitalize on that and celebrate that and show them how excited you are for their journey rather than beat them down by telling them how dumb they were previously? That doesn't make me want to learn from you anymore. It makes me want to learn from you when I come back to you and say I'm ready, and you celebrate it with me, and you show me excitement for the fact that you're still passionate about wanting to help me. And now we're two people who are excited about the future and can skyrocket forward, versus me make myself feel bigger than you by reminding you of how dumb you were. Last time I checked, God doesn't do that.
No, and I promise you that person, when he comes to realization, he already knows.
Yeah, he already knows how he feels. He knew you knew he would feel this.
Yeah.
They're not trying to be reminded of how they felt and what they did. It's, I recognize I went wrong. I recognize I messed up. I disagree with you then. I see where you are now. Okay, sweet. Now that you were here, let's ride. Come on.
I mean, this really reminds me, like, this is our relationship with God.
Oh, yeah.
As you were saying that, because I was like, that just hit a trigger recently, because I'm like, I had this conversation recently with God.
Yeah.
And even sometimes we feel like he's going to come in like, I told you so. You should have listened to me from the very beginning. Like, I am so thankful that he celebrates it.
Yeah.
And he's like, now we're ready. Now let's go.
Yeah.
Come on. Here's the next step. Here's another little bit of wisdom,
Yeah.
that he gives us. So it just reminds me.
Yeah, it's. I think the best way to articulate moving through a disagreement is thinking, how does God treat you when you disagree? How much compassion? How much care? How much comfort? How does he, think of this is the way I think about it. What right do I have to be short with somebody in a disagreement? If God listened to every prayer I've ever prayed, he will continue to listen to every prayer I'm ever going to pray, and never once said, I'm done listening to you. I'm done. You're dumb. You're like, this isn't gonna work. Like, you're hopeless. You're a mistake. Like, we're done here. If he's never done that to me, and I'm supposed to be an embodiment of him as a believer, I have no right to even act that way to anybody else. It's okay. Like we don't even, this is the conversation side of God that we don't think about. When we pray, he's listening to our prayers. If you're disagreeing with somebody, most cases we're trying to prove ourselves being right. God doesn't do that. So why are we doing it? It doesn't make any sense. We know he's right in the end, but he listens to everything we complain about.
Yes.
About the Karen at work, the Karen at the gas station, the Karen at our church, whatever. He listens to every complaint. And yet, when we hear about from somebody, it's not, let me hear how you feel. Let me listen. I'm here. It's, well, you're wrong. Well, that's dumb. How could you think that? What brought that to mind? Like, what the heck? It's like it's all these negative, aggressive tones back in an argument, rather than, oh, really? Like, help me understand more. I'm listening. If we became more focused on listening in a conversation, which if my wife was watching this, she'd be texting me right now saying, yep, that's you.
Told you so.
Oh, I know. Yeah. But if we get more focused on the listening side, we'll go from arguing to conversating. We'll turn disagreements into discussions. It's no longer a two ends of the conversation. Now we're having a healthy discussion about two different perspectives. Because we're not focused on trying to make my point right. It's, I'm trying to understand your point. I want to know where you're coming from. And that's, in the end, how we develop through disagreements.
Wow. This is powerful, man. I could keep going. How are we on time?
We're okay. We can do another question or two.
Okay.
If you got something.
No, correct me if I'm wrong. So, in order to handle these crucial conversations, by the way, that's a great book to read. When we're handling these crucial conversations with people, what I'm sensing is you have to humble yourself, get off yourself, right? That's pretty much the definition of being humble. When you're coming, even when you're admitting to being wrong in a certain conversation, you have to be extremely humble. That's the weight. Extremely humble to come and be like, hey, Dennis, or this person, I was wrong. The thing that I was trying to dispute, I was wrong. So being humble, getting off yourself, trying to see if there's even any opportunity of growth for both.
Yeah.
You know, and to take correction. Now, I would say
Don't
even
open up another can of worms.
the last one, I would even say apply it. I think that's even the hardest one, is whenever you apply when someone's correcting you, because you know it's not off of your own will, or what you learned is from someone else. So correct me, I feel like I got that from the whole conversation.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, disagreements are normal, arguments are emotional, and they're prideful, and the only way to avoid an argument is to get focused on the other person, understanding the other person. I mean, every relationship argument you have is about it's proving why the other person was wrong and you were right. You're just addressing all the things they did as wrongs, versus let me get a better idea of who you are. Let me know why you think this, why that. We can, like, just put it this way. This is the best way I can think of saying this. You know a relationship is healthy when there are disagreements. You know a relationship is healthiest when there are discussions, not arguments. Because that's where the arguments take place, is when both are trying to prove their side, rather than a discussion takes place about disagreement. Discussions are totally healthy. They're encouraged. It shows that you stand on your own value. You stand behind what you say. It's an argument when you try to prove the other person wrong for an opinion that they have. Is that really that important? Like, really? Is it that important that you make them feel wrong about something, versus understand why they think that, and then understand where you are and recognize, okay, let's find a way to come together on this conversation. But it's both parties' jobs to remain at peace in the conversation. It's both parties' jobs to keep it a discussion, not a debate.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and I think a lot of people confuse it with debating.
Yeah, I mean, you can choose to let disagreements disable the relationship, or you can let disagreements develop the relationship. It's all about how you choose to approach them and how you choose to navigate them. If a couple is, I guess to kind of just close the conversation out, it's really the focus is going to be on arguing is a sign of pride because you're trying to prove your point. Disagreements prove that you have a mature level of emotion taken. You have a mature stance on what you believe. You don't have to agree with somebody, but in the end, you need to be authentically you, accepting that not everyone believes the same thing.
Yeah.
But disagreements can be developed through if they remain discussions seeking to understand the other person rather than arguments trying to prove your own point.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a lesson for just till the day we take our last breath.
Yes.
Because we will always want to prove why we are right versus find a way to be unified in the conversation.
Yes.
Are you more focused on yourself being right or on the outcome being unifying?
There's a sense of contentment, right? Whenever you're having to answer a tough conversation, you have to be content on being wrong or being right.
Yeah.
You know, and being willing to grow.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, guys, I know that we've covered a ton today. Make sure that, like I said, we're not going to ask you to like and subscribe because we know you naturally will if you like the content. We will always be at Mount Christian Gifts the last Saturday of each month. If you want to come hang out in person one day, ask a live question, get to meet us, etc. We do, like I said from the beginning, we do have the other channels about to be released. We do have other podcasts that are in the works from the rest of our team working on them. So a lot of cool opportunities coming up, and we are looking to expand our team. So if you see the content, if you like the content, and this is something that you say, I want to be a part of the special mission taking place here, reach out to us, email us, 3dleadershippodcast@gmail. Feel free to comment down on the video itself, and we look forward to catching you guys for our 2-year anniversary next month.
Yes. I'll see y'all soon. Stay blessed.
Have a good day, guys. Appreciate you tuning in.
Let's go.